For centuries, many civilizations drew their strength from the metals that came from the earth. But when we think of the Ottoman Empire, it wasn't just a matter of minerals. It was faith that played the greater role. Yet behind the emergence of financial interest, there was another layer, a deeply psychological one. For modern people, the Ottoman Empire often exists as a collage of memories. Minarets rising into the sky, golden coins, splendid palaces, endless caravans. But doesn't the psychology that carries the past also come into play right here? When we look closer, what truly sustained such a vast empire was not merely those visual echoes from history. Interest functioned like a hidden gear in the financial mechanism, spinning quietly in many forms and scales. Sometimes I simply wonder, why do certain economic theories remain so unanswered, so silent? In psychology, perception itself becomes a structure. And perhaps this structure was like a sealed box, hidden deep within the minds of people across every age. Let's not forget, some civilizations ruled through gold, while others ruled by reaching into the core of the human heart. And in between them lay a subtle yet crystal-clear distinction. Where other nations carved their power into stone, one nation, the Ottomans, engraved it upon the fear that lay behind their faith. The implementation of the interest ban was not merely a royal decree issued by the sultans of the time. Though it appeared as a religious rule, it carried far deeper meanings. In the Ottoman Empire, law was never confined to the ruler's command. It also served as a mirror, reflecting the cultural and moral heritage of the people. It was like a mirror showing every person's ambition, trust, and fear. For interest, in its essence, meant one thing: the increase of one's wealth through another's need, and that, at its core, was to profit from another person's helplessness. When this happened, the first fractures began to appear within the conscience of society. Small, almost invisible cracks that revealed a growing moral discomfort. That is why, in the Ottoman world, it was not money that was monitored, but the intentions behind it. Because money could corrupt conscience, and once conscience was stained, so too could the hearts of people be. All of this, when viewed in the context of its time, was far more than an economic decision. It was also a collective effort to preserve the habits, balance, and humanity of society itself. The goal was simple yet profound: to protect every individual from their own greed and to prevent that greed from harming others. And it was at this very point, where the human heart met temptation, that the psychology behind the ban on interest truly revealed itself. Let me leave you with a thought that might sound unusual today. In the Ottoman world, the economy was not merely a system of trade. It was a structure of conscience surrounded by faith. From the creation of the Ahilic guilds to the establishment of craft brotherhoods and the vast network of charitable endowments, vakifs, that supported the imperial treasury, each of these institutions shaped not only the flow of money, but also the moral rhythm of society. When a janissary, a court servant, or a merchant donated a portion of their earnings to a vakaf, they were not merely giving charity, they were drawing a boundary around their own desire. In their faith, charity was not an act of generosity, it was a duty, and once they fulfilled it, they could whisper to their hearts, "My soul is at peace. I have done what my faith requires." Yet there was one act that could disturb that peace, one that society regarded with unease and spiritual discomfort. Interest is forbidden. I cannot touch it. That boundary, invisible yet powerful, became the most enduring law of the Ottoman economy. For this reason, the ban on interest was not simply a prohibition. It was a structure that calmed the human mind, a system that reminded individuals they were still walking the right path. In essence, it was like a silent prayer, guarding the heart of society and purifying the spirit of an entire civilization. What lies behind a person's inclination toward interest? The answer is both simple and complex. By our very nature, humans are creatures of fear. We fear that our sustenance will not be enough. We worry about tomorrow, that we might not be able to feed our families, that what we have will never be sufficient. And in that fear, the human heart begins to drift away from the God it once trusted, toward the money that seems to promise control over the unknown. The mind, ever clever, begins to rationalize. I'm only worried about the future. I just want to feed my children. I need a little more to feel safe. But it is in this quiet negotiation between faith and fear that the essence of the psychology behind interest is revealed. That is why the ban on interest was never merely an economic policy. It was a safeguard for faith itself. The Ottoman Empire understood this truth deeply. When the heart of a nation fills with fear, the seeds of greed begin to take root. And once greed convinces the mind that it is right, no empire, no matter how powerful, can stop the decay that follows. Today our lives revolve endlessly around the same words: interest rates, stock markets, central bank decisions, economic forecasts. But let me ask you this. From where we stand now, can we still recognize what the wise civilizations of the past truly feared? Perhaps the real issue isn't just interest rates. Perhaps the deeper problem is how humanity's perception of money has evolved, or rather devolved, to the point where it shakes the very conscience of society. We have placed trust in money where faith once belonged to God. Yes, interest may yield profit today, but that same profit may quietly create the poverty of another tomorrow. And that is when we begin to see this was never only about economics. Maybe it never was. The real question has always been, how little greed can humans live with? What matters more, a piece of paper we call money, or the divine force that gives it value? Today, some build empires of wealth, yet behind them stand countless others fighting for a life they were never allowed to live. As riches grow unbalanced, the poor multiply. And as the number of people increases, the chance for the rich to become richer grows even greater. The psychology of money always reshapes itself, but its essence never truly changes. If you're curious about how money shapes not just economies, but the human mind itself, subscribe. This journey might just reveal the mirror within us all. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Perhaps your perspective will show another side of that mirror. Share your reflections in the comments. Eat